All right, so a long-awaited video that I've been pushing off making, just haven't made. Kept saying I'm going to make it. The 6.4 Powerstroke. So we're going to skip ahead. We got a 7.3 here. We got a 6.7. We got a 6.4 over there. You can see, and there's a 6.0 right here actually. So we got pretty much all big generations of the Powerstroke engines here. But is a 6.4 good? Is it good? Is it bad? Was it truly the worst engine ever put in a light-duty diesel? Is it truly the worst diesel Ford has ever produced? Is it truly all these things that people want to say it is? Well, let's talk about it. So, the 6.4 was again, 3-year engine. It was sold in 08 to 2010 pickups, not used in the E-Series vans, so you will not see that in the vans. The 6.0 was used up till 2010 for the Econoline series. Super Duty's got the 6.4, 2008. It was a revolutionary engine when it was released. And take that with what you will, right? So a lot of this is going to be kind of opinion. I got a little bit of stuff here as far as like certain specifications and whatnot and all that BS. But yeah, so the 6.4, so 2003, as we all know, emissions was starting to get pushed by the EPA through the Clean Air Acts, and they wanted, the big bad diesels, God forbid, were polluting because they're so bad for the environment. As my two beavers over there decided to play with each other, but 2003 came out, emissions, so the 6.0, when it came out, it had the EGR, had a VGT turbo on it. There was a couple things, and it also had a catalytic converter in the exhaust. 6.4, so as the Clean Air Acts got further and further more detailed and became more aggressive, Ford, of course, pretty much wanted to lead the way as far as complying and saying, hey, we can do this. We can comply with what the EPA standards want. We can also build an engine that is powerful and reliable while still doing this. And so, of course, at the time, International and Ford still being partners, Ford came to International and said, hey, look, 6.0 is cool. We want more. We want something that complies furthermore with the Clean Air Act, so pretty much a more in-depth EGR system, a more heavy-duty EGR system. And golly. And with the DPF and, not DPF, a dock filter and a selective catalytic reducer, which would help meet the standards, again, bring NOx down, yada, yada, yada. All this BS. So International was like, hey, and pretty much Ford said, hey, I wanted this, and I want it in a short time frame. So development started really kind of mid-05 is kind of when the 6.4 was starting to be engineered. Engines were produced in 2006, and then of course 2008 the new Super Duty series was released to the product or to the consumers. So International teamed up with Navstar and pretty much took a 6.0, which as we all know, and made it better in a sense. So it's pretty much a really hopped up, beefed up common rail compound turbo 6.0 Powerstroke, except instead of a Huey system, we're running a common rail injection. So it is also, the 6.4 is also the first common rail injection Powerstroke diesel to be put in a Ford series pickup. What common rail injection is, if anybody doesn't know, it's pretty much a centralized high pressure fuel pump or fuel pump in general, which feeds one common rail, and then from that rail, individual feed lines will feed each separate injector. So with the 6.4, same thing. You have a K16 injection pump, feeds the common rails. The rails feed the injectors. The ECM tells the injectors when to fire. So that was new technology for at least for the Powerstrokes. Again, Cummins came out with a common rail in 03. Duramax did it in 2000. And depending on how far you want to look, common rails really came out a long time ago when Detroit did them with 2 strokes. So just kind of depends on how you want to word them. But so that was a big thing. And furthermore, on the common rail, not only did they just put a high-pressure fuel pump, they put the highest-flowing fuel pump in these. So these K16 injection pumps were developed by Continental Siemens VDO. Edit that out. So the K16 was developed by Continental Siemens VDO, which is a German-Italian company. This pump can generate 24,000 pounds of rail pressure and flow 240 liters of fuel an hour, which still stands today. And by today, I mean January 22nd of 2026. The highest flowing high-pressure fuel pump put in the light-duty series pickup yet. The only one that even comes close to rival it is, I believe it's the HP4, which is located in the L5P Duramax, and they flow, I think it's like 190, 200, so they're close, but they're still not there. So we have a fuel pump that can deliver. We have Penzo injectors in the 6.4s, which have a heavier firing cycle, so they can fire more than a solenoid injector. They're faster, they're more responsive, really good injectors. Got no complaints on Penzos, far more efficient than solenoids. Both get the job done, just Penzos are superior, which are actually what these 6.7s have as well. So with that being said, so we got a good fuel system. Then we go to the turbos. We all know BGTs with the Powerstrokes came out on the 6.0s in 03, which was also used for the emissions, because it's pretty much still used them to close the vanes, put back pressure on, force more exhaust gas through the EGR to cool it and burn it. 6.4s do the same thing, except not only do we have one turbo, we have two turbos, and they are compounding turbos. They are not twin turbos, so do not call them a twin turbo diesel. They are a compound turbo diesel. Compounding, which means you have a low pressure and a high pressure. Low pressure discharges into the high pressure, which then compresses again, therefore compounding before discharging into the charge air system to feed the engine. That was a big thing, real big thing. Now the thing is, with the compound turbos, they are very effective. They are great with EGT management. You get amazing power on the low end, and you also get great power on the high end, which you would not get on a single turbo engine. Having two turbos gives you the best of both worlds. The big kicker is, number one, your drive pressure goes up because these are small turbos, so a lot of congestion. So that also helped with the cracking pistons issue on the 6.4 Powerstrokes. Big kicker. Also, with these and the up pipe designs that help feed these amazing EGRs they put on these trucks, the bellows love to crack. So every expansion joint in these up pipes and the EGR crossover pipe will crack. Exhaust leaks are catastrophic for these turbos. If you have an exhaust leak, it will drive the VGT harder, which will spin the turbo faster, therefore causing premature failure, because you're pretty much using the turbo at double the rate it needs to be used at, killing it a lot quicker. Not good. You lose the turbos, potentially you'll lose an engine, because most people don't catch it. You're going to start shooting oil out the exhaust, and then the motor will run on no oil. It won't care. They'll end up spinning a motor, or spinning a bearing, getting a rod knocked, throwing a rod, stuff like that. Also, another scenario is it will discharge the oil to the charge air system. They're going to the engine, potentially giving you either a hydrolock or a runaway engine. Not good situations, no matter who you are. And also being, since they are compounds, they put small turbos in there, so these turbos spin a lot faster than your normal turbos. Like a turbo in this truck, the 6.4s are going to spin. This one will probably rotate 30,000 RPM. 6.4 is going to spend about 30 to 40,000 RPM, just because they're a lot smaller, having to do the work of a bigger turbo. Granted, there's two of them, it does help, but they're small. So one thing that helps with upgrading these is going to bigger turbos, which will help them spin lower under non-heavy duty loads. I got a little bird right there. See that? That's a squirrel moment right there. Got distracted. So we got the fuel pump, the fuel system, which is awesome. We got the compound turbos, which is, awesome. Can be bad, right? Oil coolers. Well, again, like I said, it's like an overbuilt 6.0. So this oil cooler is essentially the same design as the 6.0. They did change the housing a little bit differently, right? Because we no longer have to feed a high-pressure oil pump, so there's no oil galley. So there's the cavity underneath the oil cooler housing is no longer full of oil. It's just empty. They did beef the tolerances up a little bit in the oil coolers on the 6.4s to help prevent plugging, which proved to be pretty good. Oil coolers typically last a long time. The only big kicker when it comes to oil coolers on the 6.4 is now they cost double, if not triple, the price to do than a 6.0, because you have to pull the turbos. And it's a freaking pain in the ass. Both turbos weigh 84 pounds together. They're awkward to get in and out. It's just a lot more labor intensive than it is a 6.0. 6.0, you can have an oil cooler out, if you know what you're doing, in less than 3 hours. Now, granted, everybody's different, right? But I'm just saying, if you're somebody who's skilled, you know all your tips and tricks, you can get it out in 3 hours for sure. Some 3 to 5 hours, we'll say that. On a 6.4, a lot more involved. So a little bit more pain in the ass, so it's going to cost a lot more for the consumer. So if you're somebody who cannot work on your own truck, or somebody, I get it. Some people don't even want to screw with it, even if they know how. And I get that too. It's a pain in the ass. You're going to pay a lot more. Just kind of like an example, the average turbo replacement cost on a 6.4 is roughly $4,000, which is a lot of money. And when you think about it, to buy one of these trucks running, typically about $13,000, $15,000, and $4,000 for turbo repair alone. I mean, that's a good fraction of that price. So something to keep in mind. 6.4s are costly as a whole. The head design is about the same. It's still a 10-bolt head, still 4 valves per cylinder. The difference with the 6.4, 6.0, they did learn from the head issues. They bored the holes out. They put real beefy head bolts in there. Head issues are far, less than a 6.0. Far less. As an example, if you are to ARP head stud, a 6.0 or 6.4, 6.0 final torque is 210, and the 6.4 is 275. So your PSI clamp pressure on a 6.4 is far more, even with head bolts, let alone with studs. So your chances of blowing head gaskets, again, are far minimal. Part of the reason why they did that, compound turbos. We're throwing higher pressure, more air volume into the inlet of these cylinders, so we're force feeding more pressure in there. We have to do something, otherwise they'd be blowing head gaskets left and right like it's going out of style. Make the 6.0 look like a freaking preacher child. So with that, head design's the same. We got common rail injection, awesome injection pump. We got compound turbos. Another big thing on internally, now let's we talked about the outside, right? So that really about sums it up. The only big thing to talk about the outside of these engines is the cooling package that Ford puts in these trucks. It's awesome. Super big radiator. Does an amazing job maintaining temperature. The only kicker was, in the earlier years, the coolant mixture was not sufficient, or at least the coolant, I forgot what they used. I think it was the old Ford Gold, was not that good. So what would happen is it would boil over, cause cavitation, and end up eating the timing cover behind the water pump, and at some point you'll end up losing pump suction, therefore not able to pump water and cool efficiently or effectively. Nowadays it's really not a problem. If you EGR delete it, you shouldn't, right, because it's illegal, but if the EGR has been removed, that eliminates a lot of that problem as well. And of course, the new coolants now, like the new Ford Gold, or you want to run Xerox G05, which is what I run in mine, or whatever, pretty much that problem is a thing of the past now. But it was a thing years ago. Still kind of can be, depending on what you run in it. But internally, so the connecting rods on these trucks, they do not have wrist pin bushings. They have a special coating on the wrist pin itself, which is supposed to act as a bushing. It's great until it's not. So there's a thing we call wrist pin knock with these engines. And when you get higher mileage and that wrist pin is worn out, or that coating is wore off, you get a lot of play. So, you have like your wrist pin, your piston, you start getting play like this. And as that piston's, going up and down at idles 500 RPMs, when you're beating the hell out of it 4,000 RPMs, you start getting a lot of knock. You can hear it play around in there, which is not good. Aftermarket rods are the way to go. I mean, really, you're just supposed to replace the rods. We found a way with the machine shop we use where we actually custom cut them and force a bushing in there, and they've worked pretty good so far. I've had zero complaints. We've done 2 particular 6.4s where we have started coming out with this. We don't really build a whole lot of 6.4s at the moment, but the 2 we've done doing that, we've had zero issues out of, so got a lot of faith in it. I don't know how I'd feel about doing it on a 1,000 horsepower engine, but as far as something that somebody uses to pretty much play around with and pull every day, we've had zero issues. Secondly, the notorious cracking pistons. The one thing that everybody loves to throw at these trucks. Oh, they crack pistons, they're junk. Well, okay, let's look at it. Why? Why do they crack pistons? So, number one, after treatment. So, the most famous pistons to crack are 7 and 8, the 2 rears, right? Reason being is with the after treatment system with an SCR and diesel oxidation catalyst filter, it needs diesel to react with the soot, to burn the soot, to give you clean NOx. or successful after treatment gas. So what they do is the injectors will spray in the exhaust stroke, spray atomized diesel. The atomized diesel will go out of the manifolds into the up pipes, through the turbo, down the downpipe, into the SCR and dock filter, therefore causing a reaction, of course, when the engine's at operating temperature, heating the catalyst up, which will burn the soot, doing its job, yada, 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 all the freaking EPA BS. So that also adds extra heat. And a way to think about it, too, it actually causes a dramatic heat transformation because you're throwing cold fuel at a hot piston on an exhaust stroke. So your temperature difference there, you're just shocking the hell out of that piston. Secondly, reason why they crack is because the meet emission standards, you have to have a proper fuel-air mixture. Well, these cups on these pistons are very aggressive, so they're very deep, and the lips are very sharp. Now, that's great because it causes a very good fuel mixture, which gives you a cleaner burn. The cleaner you burn, the less use you have on your emission system, the longer you can go without having to do a regeneration. Well, when you have sharp edges like that in deep bowls, you cause an issue with heat and pressure, which will give you a weak point, causing, as we all know, cracked pistons. I have one I probably could have shown, but big thing. The L5Ps have done them. LMLs have, excuse me, not LMLs. I think it's LLYs that do them. The 6.4s are really the only Powerstroke that do them. The early 03s did them, 6.0s. Cummins don't really have that problem at all. The Cummins just melt pistons down. They don't really crack them. Don't really seeing them out of the 6.7s either. So that's a big weak point. Also, the cranks are beefed up. The cranks are big. I mean, these 6.4s, I mean, the cool thing about them, right? So we have the compounds. We got the badass fuel system. Tuning alone, and I believe the current record still stands, but tuning alone on these engines, on a stock engine, they were able to generate 660 horsepower out of this engine, which is freaking wild. And it's still, I still believe that is the highest number yet. I think the L5P came close at like 617, somewhere in there. I think it's real close, but the 6.4 still holds it. Now, granted, that's an engine built 2008, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, they can generate a lot of power. They can be a lot of headache. I've seen burnt valves out of these. I've seen countless cracked pistons. I've seen, and I can't even count how many turbo issues I've seen out of these engines. Like, oh my God. People don't catch them. Things to look for. So, all that being said, the 6.4, so as an example here, so at 3,000 RPM, the 6.4 generates 650 foot-pound torque. 650 foot-pound torque at 2,000 RPM is 350 horsepower at 3,000 RPM. So it's just like a 6.0. They are a high RPM diesel. Let's see here. Just want to see if there's anything else. It's like a good little fun fact out of all this information. Not really. It's really about it. So I'm pretty sure the compression ratio is 22 to 1 to 1 on these 6.4. So they are a higher compression ratio, which also helps with piston cracking. So I'm trying to think of really any big highlights with them. I mean, that's really the biggest design changes. They're just a board over common rail compound turbo 6.0. It's really all they are. Are they good engines? Well, it's kind of up to an opinion base, right? I will say that the 6.4, percentage-wise, 40% of them were good. 60% were probably nightmares. Again, now, before we start blowing everything on the 6.4 and International, Ford had a lot to do with that. Ford rushed this engine. They wanted it quick and they wanted it fast. Ford also did real crappy with a warranty. It's part of the reason why Ford and International divorced. It wasn't really so much of the engine quality, right? Had International had more time to develop this motor properly, I think it would have been really, really good. It'd probably still be in production today. Had Ford's warranty, or Ford been better with their warranty towards International, they were pretty much trying to play the screw game. I can't really want to say the correct words for that, but screw you, screw me game. Had they have played that better, they'd probably still be in partnership today. Who knows? I mean, it's really not on International. I mean, did the 6.4 have its faults? Absolutely. I'm not sitting here going to tell you that the 6.4 was an amazing engine, and it was flawless. Far from it. It had plenty of faults, as we all know. I mean, my personal 6.4 currently has 258,000 miles on the truck. And the engine, stock engine. As we just saw, or this may come out before the video, we just put new turbos in it, and we had to change the pressure regulator and the volume regulator on the K16 pump, and now it runs flawless again. And my engine's an 06 engine. It's one of the first 6.4 engines. And it's an 07 build truck, so it's like early, everything's early about that thing. But was the 6.4 the worst? I mean, I don't particularly think so. The thing with the 6.4, if you have the money to fix them correctly, and willing to put the money in them, a built 6.4, say you Cerakote pistons, delip the pistons. I'm not a big fan of putting the Max 47 pistons in there. I mean, it's the same thing. Just delip them, Cerakote them, give them better heat resistance, put a better set of rods in them, head stud them, O-ring heads. Another big thing on the heads of the 6.4, the valve seals, valve seats are trash, notorious for cracking. But again, I mean, you know, they weren't built to be a 500,000 mile motor. The valve train had issues getting lubrication. There are aftermarket solutions for that. Really, I mean, you can run valve train for 250,000 miles and then change the valve train out. It's not that hard to change valve train. It's really not. So the 6.4 can be built to be a good engine. And a built 6.4 is a force to be reckoned with, honestly. I mean, a built 6.4 today, you take, say you go buy a truck with a blown motor for $5,000, which you can do all day. And you spend what it would cost somebody to pay me to build a motor, install it. I mean, you'd spend $16,000, $17,000. I mean, that's a full overhaul engine, new turbos, everything but the fuel system being replaced. I mean, complete overhaul, brand new heads of O-rings, ARP studs, new pistons, have the rods with custom built to have the wrist pin bushings, all new bearings, have the crank balance, bored over, yada yada yada, bigger cam, new lifters, bigger push rods, all the good, and optimize the truck with a good tune. The 5R110 transmissions are awesome. Anybody who knows anything about Ford transmissions, the 5R110s are by far one of the best transmissions Ford has ever put in a Super Duty pickup. E4OD was shit. E4 or 4R100 was shit. The is it the 10R140s in these? Complete shit. They're weak. I don't care what anybody says. These transmissions, you throw power at them, they freaking explode. 6R140s are pretty good. I'll give that. Especially the first generation 6R140. Super good transmissions. The 5R110s and 5R110Ws, amazing transmissions. Zero complaints out of them. They hold quite a bit of power. They can take the abuse. And when they're built, they can really beat the crap out of them. And they just eat it. But this is a built 6.4, privately tuned. I mean, they're unstoppable. It would walk a dog, even on this 24/6.7 here, all day long. It'll outpull it, it'll outrun it, and outperform it. Fuel mileage probably won't be so good because 6.4s are very fuel hungry trucks. Some people have gotten 21 miles out of them. I get like 16. I'm okay with that. But it's just something to think about. So is the 6.4 good? In my opinion, I don't label it as the worst diesel engine. I do label it as a very faulty engine, but it does have potential to be something worth owning. I don't hate them. They're not terrible to work on, in all honesty. I mean, there's some things that could be better designed, and I think it comes with any engine. But really, if you have the money for them, they can be one of the best diesels you ever own. It can be one of the worst diesels you ever own. But 6.4s overall, they have good potential. From the factory, it's Russian roulette. I'll say that. I mean, mine I got lucky with. She still runs good. She still runs strong. Could it blow up at any time? Yeah. It is what it is. Bought that knowing it. But I have seen quite a few of them make, 250,000, 200,000 miles. And I mean, really, to me, when it comes to any diesel engine, 250,000 miles, you got your money's worth. Yeah, I mean, well, the Cummins can go 500,000 miles. Yeah, I mean, sure it can. But I mean, how worn out is it at that point, right? I mean, what's it been used? Has it been maintained? Has it pulled a lot? Has it had used the exhaust brake all the time? I mean, stuff like that. I mean, really, what's the true health condition of the motor at 500,000 miles? Just, it is what it is. So, that's my viewpoint on the 6.4. Obviously, we left out all the little, there's a lot of little things people can nitpick, right? But I mean, overall, it can be a good engine. it's going to cost. Everything comes at a cost. So, in my opinion, this is going to piss off some Chevy people, but to me, I would take a 6.4 Powerstroke over pretty much every Duramax besides an L5P and probably an LML. The LMLs have their issues, right? But I like LMLs are good running motors. So that's my opinion. It's going to piss some people off. We're going to talk about Duramaxes too, right? And we'll talk about 6.0s, and we're going to talk about all the generations of all the Cummins motors. But that's the 6.4. Again, 2008 2010 pickups. Also, it's my favorite body style Super Duty. I got like a thing for them. I don't know. Weird. But, yeah, that's it. I mean, biggest highlights, fuel system, compound turbos, cooling package. Oil cooler is pretty much the same. Fuel system's pretty much the same. It's a more volume-based system than pressure-based system. 6.0s run 40 to 60 pounds low pressure. 6.4s run 3 to 6 pounds, but they're higher volume to feed the fuel-hungry pump. Yeah, that's really it. Should you buy a 6.4? I'm not your accountant. I don't give a shit what you do with your money. But yeah, that's it. That's what I got to say about the 6.4. That's my opinion on it. If you don't like my opinion, that's cool. You can comment yours. Everybody's got a viewpoint. I'm not saying my opinion is superior over anybody else, and somebody else's opinion is not superior over mine. But everybody's got a viewpoint on them. That's mine. That's what I think. That's the big highlights on them. It's really the major focus of the cons, of the big issues with them. You get a lot of one-off issues for sure, right? But, I mean, I can't list every one-off issue because the chances of that happening to everybody is minute. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. The next one will be on the probably the 6.0s, maybe the 7.3. I don't know. Maybe it comes. Maybe a 6.7. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. If you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment. Send me an email. Email's in the description. Yeah. That's it. I think what else to say. You see the awkward silence. Listen to the birds. Cool. Well, I'll see you on the next video. Till then.